My name's Dr. Jon Anderson and I'm going to talk about a module called Culture, Space and Place. Okay, so Culture, Space and Place is an introduction to cultural geography, and as the name suggests, it looks at the interconnections between culture on one hand and the places and spaces that we live in on the other. And that's quite interesting because often we think cultures are kind of the wallpaper to our lives. We don't necessarily take account of them, but different culture groups' ideas about what's right and wrong, what's good and bad, about how we should act in particular places, inevitably influences how we act and who we are and how we use the places and spaces around us. So cultural geography in this module in particular begins to explore those ideas. It looks at the history of cultural geography, but also looks at ideas of places and power, about why some particular cultural groups get to determine what our cultural spaces are like, about why we should act in a university the way we do, for example, how we act in bars and pubs, why certain towns have certain spaces for some groups and not other places, and how we, as part of this cultural world, go along with these ideas sometimes and simply acquiesce to them and think, okay, well, why should we challenge them? And on other occasions we think, hold on, the world could be better if we challenge these ideas and we should act differently in these different places. So Culture, Space and Place begins to explore those ideas and positions us as individuals in this cultural world and how we could act better in it. Well, students will learn a whole range of things from some theoretical understandings about place and power, but then these will be taken through in a whole range of examples, a whole range of different cultural groups, for example. So we might look at youth cultures and the different languages that they use and how they might be written out of a particular city, but through processes, for example, like parkour, through free running or through graffiti. They might write themselves literally back into the city and claim these spaces back. We might also look at different ethnic groups like New Age travellers and gypsies. We might look at different identifications of ourselves, for example, at the local scale or the national scale. We might look at how we use the place of our body and how this is ordered and bordered by particular cultural groups. For example, what we should wear, how we should carry ourselves, who we should share our body with, how ideas of tattooing, for example, have changed the nature of the body, and how we might reveal or conceal those particular cultural traces in the particular different spaces in which we live our lives. So this module is looking at different cultures and spaces around us, and so in relation to assessment we want to be relatively creative to capture those different cultures in the way they're lived and experienced by different groups. So half of the module is through a traditional form of assessment, a 2,000-word essay, but the second half of the module is slightly more creative and interesting and innovative. So students could do a second essay, but if they wanted to, they could do a film essay or indeed a photo essay. So you can be far more creative in filming and getting involved in the cultures that you're interested in and trying to communicate that knowledge in a different, more creative way through that form of assessment.